Welcome to Where Mind Body Fitness Teaching Gets Real, the interview series on how to stand out from the crowd, fill your classes, and reach more people. I created this interview series having been in the industry for over 30 years and seeing how hard the pandemic has affected existing instructors as well as those who are newly trained. It's become really noisy out there, especially on social media. So I had this thought of interviewing a range of experts and influencers to share with you their top tips on how to help you stand out from the noise and by doing so reach more people and get more people to your classes. I'm your host, Ann-See Yeoh, and it is my pleasure to introduce you to, I feel, my newfound friend, Anita Mason. Anita is a consultant advisor in the Tai Chi and Qigong to the NHS, private health sector, county councils, UK disability groups, including Age UK. She's also the winner of a national award for an NHS fall prevention initiative. Now, Qigong is very close to my heart, coming from the Far East myself, so I understand where this is all coming from. But what really struck me with Anita, which I hope will resonate with you also, is that to stand out from the crowd doesn't necessarily mean that we need to be louder either. So Anita, tell us a little bit about your journey to where you are today.
Well, really, to discuss my journey involves discussing how I got here in the fitness industry. And I'm sure you will resonate. In fact, I'm sure most of your listeners will resonate because in order to discuss that, I have to discuss what I call rhythms of change. Now, you'll know these little gremlins because when life is good, we want it to stay good, don't we? It's only when life goes bad on us that all the whys come in. Why this? Why did it happen to me? Why now? And that's what happened. I was training in my earlier years, my younger years, as an Olympic gymnast. And I was very, very slim. My nickname, Ann-See, was Beanpole because I was that slim. Now, the advantage, it wasn't so bad. The advantage that I had because I was so slim was I was fast. Mm-hmm. And if you were fast in gymnastics, you could gain height. So my speciality was the asymmetrics. Now, the downside of that was if you made a mistake, it was devastating, and I did. So I made this mistake, and it basically did away with my career in Olympic gymnastics. Wow. And I remember three things the consultant said: disabled, she'll never have children, and the third one, she'll never do sport. And at that early age, the only thing that I heard was no more sport. And they were right, basically. So I grew up with a walking stick. My spine went from that to that. And I had to find some kind of sport that I could do that was low impact. And later on in life, I was literally dragged to a Tai Chi Qigong class. And it was awful. I have to admit, I did not enjoy it, but it was purely my own frustration because everybody else stood up. They looked fantastic, and I had to stay on a seat. And I've got to say, some years later, everybody else kind of noticed the benefits of me walking better, my posture straighter, etc. Now, I don't want to put this over as miraculous. It was really hard work, but I could get away with this, throwing the stick away. And then my teachers kind of later asked me to teach. So I started teaching classes. So I turned the impossible into mission possible. Right. And that's how I got into Tai Chi and Qigong. But it was very low impact, which meant it was possible for me. Frustrating at first, but possible for me. And it's ironic that I started to teach disabilities, etc., etc. And then again, we've got that rhythm of life again. We now have Anita as a marketing guru in London, thinking she knew it all, very successful, drove a company Porsche, you name it. Working 17 hours a day, thinking she knew it all. And I thrived on stress. I loved it. Wow. but it caught up with me and I had burnout. And I literally remember a consultant sitting on the edge of my bed, having been, again, dragged into hospital, saying, if you keep this up, we'll give you 6 months to live. And I was really shocked. At first I laughed, but I realized he was serious. And then that got me into, do I actually want to go back to that kind of work, or do I want to live? And if I want to live, I've got to pack it in. So what do I do? So I chose to reinvest my money, because I was about to buy a house in London, and I put it all towards a degree in medicine. And that got me really interested in the psychology of medicine and why we become ill, because I now know that there's not just a physical illness, there's a mental illness as well, and a spiritual illness. We've got 3 levels to us, and each one of those can affect each other. So we've learned from the pandemic that if you can't get out for physical activity, it affects you mentally, doesn't it? The amount of mental health that is colossal in the pandemic. And equally, mental health can affect you physically as well. So I got into the whole psychology of that. That led me into speaking to the NHS. That led me into, what do the NHS need help with? That led me into the medical Qigong, because there's a difference. But even in the pandemic, I was still speaking to them. And COVID, although it was awful and the stats were there and hundreds were dying, COVID was not the biggest killer. Diabetes is. And the NHS are still crying out for every fitness instructor to help with this. Now, we've got to be very clear, they're not asking for help with diabetes, because that involves being medical.
Yeah.
But that they are asking for is help with what causes the diabetes, which is sedentary lifestyles. And that's what got me into the fitness industry. That's what got me into my colleges. And again, it's that impossible situation of you're given 6 months to live to Mission Possible. But it just went down a completely different road to what I thought it would. And I think it's working with those rhythms of change that keeps us alive, keeps our businesses alive. And I think definitely in the pandemic alone, you either thrived or it destroyed you. And I think the more imaginative you were as an instructor, the more you thrived. I mean, look at Amazon, look at all the delivery companies, some people.
Zoom.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So that's really where it got me. That's why I now have a clinic. But I split myself 3 ways. I wasn't stupid. That marketing person was still there. I didn't want all my eggs in one basket. So I have the marketing side of it for the medical, where it's all NHS, all consultants, all talks, and 100% know what's coming in the NHS in the next 10 years. And we're already writing for that, writing the courses for that. And then there's just, how can we prevent what's coming in the NHS and help them, because they do need our help. And then I've got the clinic, the medical side, where I'm actually physically helping patients every single day with spiritual, mental, and physical conditions.
It is. I think it's a massive, massive task, because when I was lecturing at university,
Yeah.
In the late 90s, early 2000s, we were talking back then about lifestyle diseases,
Yeah.
but nothing, there just wasn't enough, and that's being done at ground level. And I think
Yes.
where teachers and instructors can have different strings to their bow, so that they can actually help more people, that can only be a good thing, because the NHS is going to be really overwhelmed.
They already are.
They're already overwhelmed, and
We're there now.
no, and it's going to get worse, right? So now I just wanted to rewind a little bit, Anita, because you mentioned earlier on that when you started out, you kind of started with Tai Chi Qigong. You mentioned them together, and I think perhaps some of our listeners need clarification as to what the difference is, or is there a difference?
There's a huge difference. if you were going to enroll on one of my Tai Chi classes, because I do teach the two, you would be taking at least 2 years to learn it. And that would just be the footwork. Tai Chi takes a lot longer to learn. There's much more to it. Equally good discipline. And most people recognize it as that beautiful slow movement that the Chinese do under the trees and in the parks, and everybody wants to do it. But as soon as I say it's going to take 2 years, it's not for me, thank you. And we do get good capacity in our classes, but it's for a certain kind of learner, and you've got to be disciplined to do that. The Qigong is a lot easier, a lot quicker. It still takes discipline, but much easier to get, much shorter sets. Now, I think if somebody, and people ask me this all the time, what is Qigong? And I think the way I prefer to say it, and this won't be for every Qigong teacher, I think that, first of all, there's no grey area. I think if you're a yoga teacher, you probably know what Qigong is. I think if you are a Pilates teacher, you might know what Qigong is. The fitness industry in general probably don't know what Qigong is. So if we split the two words, Qi, Q-I, and Gong, I love this bit, because this is something that used to be talked about in the New Age sector. Qi means energy. Now, let me put that into Western. Even doctors and consultants talk about that word, but they call it vital, like your vital energy.
Yeah.
It's what we're born with. Now, if we don't like that word, you fuel your car every morning with either gas, diesel, or electric. It's fuel. We're born with it. And when it runs out, we die. And then the gong is skill set or cultivation or work. So when we join the two together, Qigong, it basically means working on your own energy. Now, where we go with that in our school is, well, what do you want to do with it? So what we like our instructors to be able to do with the general public is, I'm not kidding, if you wake up with a hangover, not a very good advertisement, I know, we would like you to be able to get rid of that hangover with a Qigong set. If you wake up with a dodgy stomach, there is a Qigong set that will be able to help you. If you're really tired and you have a presentation to do that day, there's a Qigong exercise that will really focus you. If you're really drained, there's a Qigong exercise that will tonify you. And they're just short sets of Qigong sets, but you've got to know what it is you want. If you're full of fear, like the pandemic, if you're full of worry, like the pandemic, there's a healing exercise, Qigong, that will help purgate that, dissipate that, get it out of your system. So Qigong, first of all, is an exercise. Well, what kind of exercise is it? It's a low impact exercise. It's a movement exercise. And and this is the gem, it consists of 3 things, and we call them the 3 regulations. So there's something physical that you are doing with your body, a set of movements that you do with your body. And then the breath coordinates that. And there's 3 things that we do with the breath. And then within that, there's something that we're doing with the mind. So we're visualizing something. There's a mindset to it as well. So there's 3 things in one, which is why I think it's a gem. Yeah. So those 3 things, those 3 regulations make it Qigong. But first and foremost, it's an exercise, a low impact exercise. Short bursts of exercise, which makes it totally different to Tai Chi.
Okay. And I think, so with that in mind, based on what you've just said, if it takes, I guess, less time, Tai Chi can take you 2 years plus to learn it. And like my mum, she's learned her form and she practices daily, right? Daily, that's what she does, which I think is great for her, because she has to use her memory and use her brain, which is great when you're older, I think. But my mum also will mention every so often when I speak to her that she does some Qigong work as well. How do you see Qigong fitting in with the fitness industry? Is it
Well,
something that instructors can incorporate to some degree with what they're doing?
yeah, I can only speak for our college. I can't, because there are 9,000 different sets of Qigong,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't speak for all of them.
Yeah.
So I can only speak for what our college is doing. And our college is only doing that. And when I speak about our college, I mean me writing the courses.
Yeah.
So I know what kind of help the NHS is wanting from the health, fitness, and wellness industry. And that is you, me, and anybody that is movement orientated, as far as I'm concerned. So what I've come up with is a fitness approach where, there's the traditional Qigong where if you really want to, like me, do 5,000 hours of training, you can do that. We can offer you that. But if you just want the fitness approach, which we call fitness Qigong, as a stepping stone, then we've written the modules for that, where we're going to help the NHS just get the UK nation moving, but also breathing, and also work on that muscle memory, have a mindset as well. We've got that 3-in-1. Now, where I see this coming into play in the future, we unfortunately are going to go back to my mantra, rhythms of change. Look what's happening, Ann-See, at the moment. We've now got a war on. Oh no, everything's changed again. We've now got, because of that war, a leap in costs of everything. I actually predict that a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford memberships for gyms. So I see, as the fitness industry, we've got to change. I think we've got to become more caring. And I think you're going to have people that are going to say, I can't afford my mindfulness class anymore. Well, there's one class. I can't afford my breathwork class anymore. Well, there's 2 classes gone. And I can't afford my gym anymore. Well, there's your physical class gone. And where we're going to come in as fitness instructors for Qigong is we've got 3-in-1 there, and it's called Qigong. So whilst you're doing Qigong, you're not actually thinking it, and you can't actually do anything else. You can't be on your phone. You can't be on your laptop. You can't be thinking of your ironing or walking your dog, because you're totally in the moment. And actually, for that brief time that you are, will help you focus so much. We can't change your world, but we'll just give you a little bit of respite from it. So I'm wanting the kind of instructor that wants a low impact kind of exercise, a 3-in-1 kind of exercise. And I think they're going to come over as caring to the client's purse.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think, the trends are moving forward is that wellness is going to be very high on people's agenda.
Yeah.
And, it's more, if we look at wellness as a concept, that's a whole nother conversation, it's,
Yes.
it's the whole person, right? And like you said, from the model that you work from, there's the 3 layers. From the yoga model I work with, there are 5 levels, 5 layers of us, and when you affect one, you affect the whole. And I just feel that, based on what you've said, I think instructors that are listening is that, we should look ahead and not just be, oh, I'm just a yoga teacher. Oh, I'm
Exactly.
a fitness instructor. Oh, I'm just a Pilates instructor. Oh, I just, teach Qigong. I think we should look ahead to with the view that we have a part to play in the health of the nation, and we should look at wellness as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can draw from different modalities, as stepping stones into
Mm-hmm.
the greater picture, then that can only be a good thing.
Yeah. And I go one step further as well. I care about the instructor.
Yes.
And instructors, I hate to say it, and there's no kind way of saying it, are getting older.
Yes.
So maybe the older instructor might want to look at a more low impact type of exercise as well. But I've come up with a cracking slogan, and that is, again, inspired by the NHS. I want to move people from exercise deficiency to exercise efficiency.
Mhm.
And, a lot of people, they're not going to be able to afford heating even. We're going to be seeing some shocking times. So if you can get an instructor that will teach the community how to warm up with a Qigong, I just want a more caring community. And I'm hoping that with the courses that we can offer, we're going to get that.
I think so. I think community is massive. I mean, I talk a lot with the communities that I'm in, and I'm in several, is to
Mm.
say, you got to have a community around you so that you can
Yeah.
lean into them.
Yes.
Lean into
Yeah.
them. We're not, you know, on our own. We don't have to be on our own, really. I mean, I'm a massive introvert, but I still have I still have different communities that I can lean into should I wish to.
Mhm.
Sometimes just knowing that there's a community there is
Mhm.
enough for some people, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, yeah, I think we just need to.
That Dalai Lama quote that I
Yeah.
mentioned earlier, can I mention it again?
Yes,
Because
do it.
it's just perfect for these times. I'll have to put it up on my Instagram. It comes from a quote that he put up, and it's called "The Paradox of Our Age." And it's a great big long thing, but there's one line that's seen me through my life, and I love it. And it basically says something like, "We, in this day and age, we managed to send somebody to the moon, but we find it hard crossing the road to see if a neighbour's okay." And I think the way that life is going, I think that's the kind of instructor that we want to attract. Somebody that can, we haven't got to be busy mates, it's just making sure that somebody's got the essentials.
Hmm. And I
Um,
think, yeah, there is another speaker who talks about who used the term, like it is the customer care side of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's really important to help you almost, it sounds really silly, right? That it makes common sense,
Yeah.
but people don't do it. They come, they teach a class and they leave.
Yeah.
And if you can just take care of your people and your community, that alone will make you stand out,
Mhm.
isn't it? And that will attract, and you will attract those people that,
Mhm.
that enjoy that. I was going to add on to what you said earlier on about
Mhm.
as instructors are getting older,
Yeah.
the stress and strains on the body, like, I certainly feel it. But I think also if for the listeners, if the listeners, if you're a new instructor trying to find your way in this, and as I feel like sometimes I'm talking to kids, like children, because they can't need to burn themselves by learning, But and I just think that if you're a new instructor, if you can also have more variety to what you offer, it will give you the longevity because it will give them, rather than teach just high impact, high intensity classes when they're starting out,
Gives you that variety.
it gives them the
Yeah.
variety, and then in terms of for their own well-being.
Yeah.
And so, I've experienced burnout before as well in my 30s, so it's crucial that instructors do look after themselves.
We've got this. We've got a qigong that strengthens the sinews, specifically that strengthens sinews. We've got a qigong that strengthens the bones, the kidney. We've got a qigong that strengthens the muscles. What sports person wouldn't want to do those, regardless of age?
Mhm, mhm.
So I'm just particularly passionate about what the NHS are asking for. Foremost, that's where my passion is, because I know now they're already crying out for help.
Yeah,
And we've got an aging population, and that's not going to get any better. So even if you're a young instructor, there's an aging population there that needs our help.
yeah.
um, and we can either go to them in halls, community halls, etc., or we can, I mean, in a lot of my falls prevention, that we hired taxis, we got them to us, and they all shared, and we got funding for that. But
Yeah.
it was great. We literally, I mean, the award that we win was just phenomenal, and we got that in 12 weeks for them. It was just unbelievable. But we changed so many lives in that,
Mm.
just by qigong. It was just amazing, amazing work.
So, Anita, we need a further conversation anyway. Listeners, like
Yeah.
I've spoken to Anita before, and we're going to carry on this conversation. Now, Anita, if you were to leave our listeners today with one single action that they can do, what would that be?
In what way? Sorry.
If you could leave them with one action that they could take for themselves now, what would that be?
Um, it might be a little bit selfish, but look after number one, because often we don't.
No.
We just take it for granted that we're going to be okay.
Yes.
And then the day comes when we're not, and it's just such a shock. Back to that rhythms of change. Oh, why me? Why that? Because we're that busy looking after everybody else, we sometimes forget about ourselves. And I don't want to push it from a selfish angle, but Qigong helps us to look after ourselves as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry if that sounds selfish,
Not at all.
but I'm on a mission that I want to touch 1 million people before I die. And sorry to get all, a bit on you, but I'm not going anywhere soon. But I can't do that on my own. And Ann-See has helped me touch more people today than I could ever do on my own. That goes for you guys as well.
Do you know?
You're one instructor in a hall of 10 people, and you're talking about Qigong, that's more than I could get to. So just look after number one, and that is not selfish.
Not at all. I
So
think people have confused selfish with self-care. I just got to pull you back, Anita. On my board behind you, you can't see, but in red at the very top, I've written down 1 million lives touched by yoga. So we definitely need to have a further
we
conversation.
do.
So, do you
We
want to
do.
just?
I can't believe
I
that.
know it's written up there. So tell our listeners, you have a very special a special offer for our listeners.
I do have a special offer. I would like to offer your listeners, and I'm going to ask you to do it in a special way. I would like you to go on my Instagram, and Ann-See is going to post information about that.
Mhm.
So it's either my Instagram, my Facebook, or email me. And I'd like you to look for a tiny course. It's just a half a day course, and it's called Pull Down the Heavens. And it's a small Qigong set, Pull Down the Heavens. And what this Qigong set does is when things become overwhelm in your life, it basically brings you, it's an energetic reset. So it will just go, stop, and just bring you back to a lovely, smooth, centered, grounded place. It's not going to take anything away from your life. That thing is still going to be there, but it will help you address it in a beautiful, soft, grounded way. So what I need you to do is find the Instagram, find the Facebook, find it, and just say Ann-See. And what I will do is give you 10% off that course, and I will really love to teach you that as my gift.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anita, for your gift and also for your time. And so, for those of you that are tuning in, honestly, do take advantage of this offer. Anita doesn't do offers at all.
I don't.
And we were so blessed to have this. But it's also, if you've never ever tried Qigong, I think
Yeah.
you have to experience it. Even if it, you don't go anywhere about with teaching with it, just for your own well-being, I think it would be a wonderful thing to do for yourself. And like Anita said, in terms of your own self-care, which will help you with longevity in this industry. So the links are below for Anita. So do click on them, and remember to tune in for the rest of the interviews. Thank you, Anita.
Thank you very much. Take good care.